In a tragic escalation of violence, airstrikes and gunfire have claimed the lives of at least 38 individuals in Gaza, according to health officials. This grim toll comes as international calls for a ceasefire intensify, yet Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu remains resolute in his commitment to continue military operations against Hamas. The deadly strikes occurred in the early hours of Saturday, targeting homes in central and northern Gaza. Among the victims were 9 members of the same family, who lost their lives in a single house located in the Nuseirat refugee camp. Health personnel at Al-Da Hospital reported the arrival of these bodies, highlighting the devastating impact of the ongoing conflict. Netanyahu's defiance was evident during his address to world leaders at the UN General Assembly on Friday, where he asserted that Israel must finish the job against Hamas. His remarks were not only directed at the international community, but also aimed at addressing a divided audience back home. This speech came shortly after a significant number of delegates from various countries walked out in protest as he began to speak, underscoring the growing discontent with Israel's actions. As the pressure mounts on Israel to halt its military campaign, the nation finds itself increasingly isolated. A number of countries have recently moved to recognize Palestinian statehood, a stance that Israel firmly opposes. In a bid to mediate the situation, several nations have urged U.S. President Donald Trump to advocate for a ceasefire. On Friday, Trump expressed optimism, stating that the U.S. is nearing a deal that could potentially ease hostilities in Gaza, facilitate the return of hostages, and ultimately bring an end to the conflict. Trump and Netanyahu are set to meet on Monday, with Trump mentioning on social media that very inspired and productive discussions are currently taking place with regional countries regarding Gaza. Despite these diplomatic efforts, Israel is advancing with a significant ground operation in Gaza City, a region that experts warn is facing severe famine. Over 300,000 people have fled their homes, yet an estimated 700,000 remain, many unable to afford the costs associated with relocation. The airstrikes on Saturday morning resulted in the destruction of a house in the Tufa neighborhood of Gaza City, leading to the deaths of at least 11 individuals, more than half of whom were women and children, as reported by Al-Ali Hospital. Additionally, 4 people were killed in the Shati refugee camp due to an airstrike, according to Shifa Hospital. Furthermore, 6 Palestinians lost their lives from Israeli gunfire while seeking assistance in southern and central Gaza, as confirmed by Nasser and Al-Auda hospitals. The Israeli military has not provided immediate comments regarding the recent airstrikes or the gunfire incidents. The healthcare system in Gaza City is on the verge of collapse, with hospitals and clinics struggling to operate under dire conditions. Nearly 2 weeks into the offensive, 2 clinics have been destroyed, and 2 hospitals have ceased operations due to damage. Others are barely functioning, facing critical shortages of medicine, medical equipment, food, and fuel. Many healthcare workers and patients have been forced to evacuate, leaving only a handful of doctors and nurses to care for the most vulnerable patients, including children in incubators. On Friday, the humanitarian organization Doctors Without Borders announced it had to suspend its operations in Gaza City due to the intensifying Israeli offensive. The organization reported that Israeli tanks were positioned less than half a mile from its healthcare facilities, creating an unacceptable level of risk for its staff. The food crisis in northern Gaza has also deteriorated, as Israel has halted aid deliveries through its crossing into the region since September 12. The UN Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs noted that Israel has increasingly denied requests from the UN to transport supplies from southern Gaza to the north. According to the Gaza Health Ministry, Israel's military campaign has resulted in over 65,000 deaths and more than 167,000 injuries. While the ministry does not differentiate between civilians and combatants, it estimates that women and children account for approximately half of the fatalities. Although the ministry is affiliated with the Hamas-led government, many independent experts and UN agencies regard its casualty figures as the most reliable during wartime. The current conflict was ignited when Hamas militants launched an incursion into Israel on October 7, 2023, resulting in the deaths of around 1,200 people and the abduction of 251 hostages. As of now, 48 captives remain in Gaza, with Israel believing that around 20 of them are still alive, following the release of most hostages during ceasefires or other negotiations. What are your thoughts on the ongoing conflict and the international response? Do you believe a ceasefire is achievable, or is the situation destined to escalate further? Share your opinions in the comments below.